What number is that?
Number 4.
Okay, you still going.
But only that one I love, but there's a few more that it just starts.
Listen to audiobooks.
Yeah. So the poor people don't listen to audiobooks, and
Wow.
not only is this victim blaming, which I agree, but it's also where's the cause and effect? Is he implying that by listening to audiobooks that makes me smarter, more informed, well educated, and that therefore leads to money? So if I'm poor and I buy a couple audiobooks with the money I don't have, I'm going to solve my problem?
Well, I think what this is trying to say is that reading is a good thing. And whether we're talking audio or whether we're talking about, reading a book, it's a good thing. I kind of agree with this thing, minus the judgment of poor people who don't do it. It's not that wealthy people are great because they do it. They're great because they have the ability to do it because all of their basic Maslow needs are already met.
Right.
So they have the ability to, casually listen to an audio book, because they're not rushing trying to get to their third job.
This is one that's funny. I'm going to jump all the way down to 11.
Okay.
It says 6% of wealthy say what's on their mind versus 69% of the poor people. Well, I must be one of the 6%, and I can admit sometimes it has caused me problems because I do say what the fuck is on my mind.
That's one thing I admire about you.
Well,
man. I remember you and car dealers. I admire that.
I just bought a new car, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I broke my own rule.
It wasn't a new. You mean literally new?
I literally new. And this is the first time I've talked about it on the show, and I'm planning in the next week or two to do a whole segment of why I did that.
Yeah, you need to explain that because you're
I've got
kind of
some
fucking up my whole
mathematical.
vision, man.
I've got some mathematical justifications to it.
I'm sure you do,
but
as you do for credit and debt,
right? But I will have to admit, it is really cool to have a new car.
You want to say what kind it is?
Oh, absolutely! It's a brand new 2016 Toyota Prius Echo. It gets 56 miles per gallon.
Oh my gosh!
Which is
That's just what you need.
Which is part of the math for it. Let's see. So we have TV.
As much as you drive all over the damn country.
I do. And here's a good one. The wealthy wake up 3 hours before work versus 3% of the poor. 44% of wealthy wake up 3 hours before work. Only 3% of the poor do this.
Yeah. It's the same thing, man. This whole list is just like the epitome of privilege, because what is the minimum wage in this country now? Is it what?
I'm going to have to guess on that. I'm thinking it's $8.25 because
something like that.
Quite frankly, I'm kind of out of touch with it because I don't make $8.25.
Yeah. But the thing about it, you take that wage and you take the largest employer outside the government in America, and that is Walmart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the average starting wage or probably the average wage of a Walmart employee, even though they've recently got a little bit of a wage increase, we're talking about somewhere around $10 an hour in 2016.
Yeah, it's something that I don't want to do. And
Hillary's on, Hillary was on the board. I just got to throw that in there.
There you go. Well, I feel the burn, just in case you didn't know.
Oh my God! Thank you, Phil. Thank you, man. I can't go corporatist. I feel that Hillary will do the best that she can for the American people, long as her corporate overlords give her the okay.
Well, it was funny because one of the single largest complaints that people have, and it's a reasonable complaint about Bernie, is that his ideas are so extreme that they're never going to get passed. And I go, you mean unlike Obama? I mean, he would put up moderate ideas and they wouldn't get passed.
You know what, Phil, oh my God. Listen, man, that really goes to the heart of what gets me about this whole scene, okay? They're talking about Bernie Sanders is a fucking extremist. Are you kidding me? This is one thing that gets me about the general right-wing philosophy. It pretty much is void of context.
Yeah.
Okay? It does not have any sense of comparison. We are pretty much the only quote-unquote civilized country on the fucking planet that does not provide basic health care. And we are also the richest country on the fucking planet. Now, people accept that and do not take time to say, wait a minute, we are in the richest country on the planet, but yet we can't do what Japan does. We can't do what Cuba does. We can't do what so many other quote unquote lesser countries do. And it's just so absurd that folks are into this whole, mindset that America is too broke to care for its citizens and, provide education. That's absurd. Many other countries are already doing it. So to say that Bernie Sanders is his ideas are radical, it really denies context. Because if there's one country on this fucking planet that should be able to provide basic healthcare to all its people, it's the United States of fucking America. If there's one country who should be able to not let people go into debt simply because they want to get educated, it's the United States of America. But we don't have that.
I just thought is that I think you're the first guest to say fuck more than me on my own show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, man.
I didn't want to do that.
Don't hide your emotions.
I was thinking about that, Phil, because you're scraping the barrel. I hope things are going well, but I know some of your other guests, and I'm talking, authors and, famous folks and all, and then you got so...
Oh, man, I love having the wide variety because... If it was just me every week, I wouldn't have listeners. So that's why. I got one last one, and I think this is going to play. It's going to be kind of like the capstone. I'm going to look at number 16 is going to be the one that kind of sums this all up. 74% of wealthy teach daily, good daily success habits to their children. Only 1% of the poor do this.
Very good, very good. I love that one.
So it's all their own fault, man.
Yeah, it is. There you go.
It's like when someone says, if you didn't want to be shot, you shouldn't have been born black.
We have so many MBAs in this country. So many that know very well how to, manipulate, money and, finances and so forth. And we also have a huge, huge group, the majority, who don't have a clue. And gosh, okay, I'm going to really out myself. I've already outed myself for this whole non-belief shit. But I am also going to out myself and say that, capitalism, in my opinion, is a predatory system. A predatory system. Whereas those who have the means to get the knowledge and the information, they have the advantage. Those who are stuck in the situation where they have to continue to grind away to survive, like people who work at Walmart for 10 years. And I do not mean that in an offensive way at all. I really, really don't. But I mean, it's Walmart's just an example. But there are so many people who are working. God, man, I don't know if you remember the guy that used to work. I mean, he used to walk like 15 miles a day to go to work. And the story, it's more like 30 miles a day, every day to go to work. The story got out and folks finally brought him a car, but this man is making like $12.50 an hour. And if folks, I'm sure somebody listening knows about that. But, it's just absurd. These folks are hardworking, they're dedicated. They're working 40 fucking hours a week, 60 hour, 2 and 3 jobs. And yet, it's still their fault because they're poor.
Right.
These are good, decent people, and they just did not have the breaks that you had. And stuff matters. The color of your skin, yeah, it does matter. Your gender, it does fucking matter. So folks like to think, everything is equal. You have a no, that's the really simple. And that's another thing about a lot of this kind of right-wing thinking. It's so simplistic. It's good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. So many issues that are affecting the real fucking world are nuanced.
It's funny you were talking about Walmart. I'd heard this before and I wanted to check this. PolitiFacts.com has an article about this claim that the Walmart family has so much wealth that their assets are like $90 billion, and that's equal to the entire bottom 41.5% of American families.
Yeah, and see, that's fucking absurd. Okay, redistribution of wealth. I want to say that again. Redistribution. I can't say it again. Redistribution of wealth. You know, the Republicans have used that as a fucking talking point for years. And I'm like, if we had a real Democratic Party, that party would say, fucking A, redistribution of wealth. Because it's fucking concentrated. I mean, every fucking real world statistic that you look at says that the concentration of wealth in America now is literally greater than it was right before the Great Depression and during the so-called Gilded Age. I mean, the inequality is absurd.
It is, and the thing that drives me nuts is so many people that are on the, oh my God, I don't know, I don't want to say the receiving end, but they're not receiving. On the bad side, the poor side of this equation,
yes,
keep voting in the people that want to cut their pay. But I just realized we're getting to the end of our time. Okay. Tell people how they can contact you if they've got questions about Dave Ramsey or about social justice or inequity, inequality.
Dave Ramsey, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like as far as getting out of debt, it worked for you. But when we're talking about some of his philosophical views,
yeah, man,
it's a different opinion.
It's, chewing the meat and spitting out the fat,
right?
Because all that other stuff, it just does not work for me. But yeah, folks can find me at, Gmail, Jelani Fakaa at gmail.com. That's JELANIFAAKAA at gmail.com, which, like I said, it's pretty much a phonetic, flesh-colored atheist. And I'm just starting my little Facebook page for this, Jelani. But you can also look for me on Facebook under the same name, Jelani Fakaa. If anybody listening is some type of designer, graphic designer or something, I am trying to figure out some type of a logo for a flesh-colored atheist. All and, right. I know it sounds weird, whatever. But if you are an artsy person and just hit me up and, hit me a design or whatever, because I want to do a flesh-colored atheist. And if you were to research flesh-colored, there's a really significant history to that whole term. So, just go from there.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being on the Phil Ferguson Show, and I look forward to seeing you at a future conference.
Absolutely. Reason Rally, sir.
There you go. I'll be there. I can't get out of it if I tried.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. But right. It'll be a blast.
Hey, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Phil. It's an honor to be with the Secular Media Network, and, this was a blast for me. Thank you very much.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to The Phil Ferguson Show on Secular Media Network.
All right, now we continue our special Dave Ramsey episode. And, of course, we talked about the plans and how they might help you get out of debt. And I think there's some logic to that, and we've already talked about that. I do have, of course, a concern with his you can never file bankruptcy like me attitude. And I waffle, I guess. I see merit in both positions on whether you should pay off the smallest debt first or the highest interest rate. Mathematically, paying the highest interest rate is the best for you. However, I could see if you have 10 or 12 debts and you feel overwhelmed and you could kill 3 or 4 of them pretty easily because they're small, $100 or $200, that could make a lot of sense because you feel like you're making progress. So I guess, I would kind of lean on it. It depends on your situation. If you have a whole bunch of different debts, particularly if they're all pretty high interest rates, that, paying off a handful of small ones first might make a lot of sense. However, one of the things where people often get in trouble, in my opinion, is debt is a tool. It can be a dangerous tool. It can be a powerful tool. So if you have a 4% car loan that's smaller, let's say $6,000, than a $12,000 credit card loan at 18%, you're just flat out wrong to pay off the car loan. Don't pay off the car loan.